Good morning, children. So, student, let's start the another chapter of your class 11 BST, and that is chapter number 3, private, public and global enterprises. Student, according to the syllabus of CBSE for 2020-21, the global enterprises has been deleted. We will be only studying about what is global enterprises. We will not go through very deeply in this, right? So let's start. What is private sector first, what is public sector, and then the different form of public enterprises. So student, see private sector enterprises. As I have told you earlier also, enterprises basically means the organization you can understand or the ownership you can understand. The private sector consists of business owned by individual or a group of individuals. The various form of organizations are sole proprietorship, partnership, joint Hindu family, cooperative and joint stock company, which we have already covered in your chapter number 2. So student, before we go through with this deeply, let's take an example here that why we have to go through with private sector individually with the form of organization and then public sector enterprises with their form of organization. So children, when we talk about business organization run into different mode or into different way. It can be run by a single person, it can be run by more than one person, or it can be jointly run by a group of people, or even the government can also start a business. So like you can see, or you can take the example of your nearby areas also. In your neighborhood market also, there are shops which are owned by sole proprietorship. Owned by sole proprietorship means one person is the owner of that. Or big retail organization also, which is run by a company. Which is run by a company basically means we are talking about a organization which is running the business. Then there are people you have seen which provide lots of services to us student, like legal services. Lawyer provide us legal services, medical services, the health worker which provide us medical services, and other services also which are sometimes owned by one person and sometimes owned by more than one person. So these all are called as a privately owned organization. Government does not interfere in that. These organizations are private organization because they are run by a person. These person invest money over there. In case there is any profit or losses, they are the one who has to bear out it completely. That is the reason we call it private sector enterprises. Now when we talk about private sector enterprises student, there are lots of forms by which we can start a private sector of organization or enterprises. Like we can start a private sector by a sole proprietorship form, means where it will be a private sector but one person will be running it. A partnership form, minimum 2 people can run it or maximum near about 50. Joint Hindu family, a family business. Cooperative society, minimum 10 adult members. Joint stock company, again more than 2 people. So these all are what? These all are organization or business organization which are privately run and where the profit and losses are going to be bear out by a private people. Government does not take any interest in that. Interest in that basically means there is no area of government investment in these organizations. So that is the reason they call private sector enterprises. This we have already read very deeply in chapter number 2. Today we will be going through with public sector enterprises and the different form by which we can start public sector of enterprises. So let's start. What is public sector enterprises? Now see the meaning here students. The public sector consists of various organizations owned and managed by central or state or both government. The government participate in economic activities of the country through these enterprises. It means all those sectors which are run, or all those organizations which or business which are run, owned and managed either by central government or by the state government or by both of them. Those all sectors organization are called public sector. Now when we talk about public sector students, government participate in the economic activities of public sector. Means government is the one who invest money in running the public sector. Government is the one by investing money there and for the purpose of welfare of the society and taking profit from there and again investing these profit in the activity of the general public of a country only. That is the reason we call that the government participate in economic activity of the country through these enterprises. Excuse me, student. Now what can be the features of public sector? Now you can see here, capital is contributed by central or state or both the government, because totally financed by the government. Either the capital or the fund is going to be contributed by central government, or the state government will contribute funds there for starting business, or it can be central or state, both. Now next is public welfare or services is the main objective. Now here we can differentiate private and public sector. When we talk about private sector, the main motive to start private sector is to earn profit. But when we talk about public sector, the main motive to start public sector is providing welfare or services to the public. Next is management and control are in the hand of government. Public sectors are totally controlled and managed by the government, either the state government or central government, whoever has contributed funds in the organization. It is accountable to the public. It is accountable to the public basically means they have to show their details to the public. They have to audit their account. The auditing details has to be shown to the public. Now these are the features of public sector enterprises. Now today we are going to read about the forms of public enterprises. It means a company or an organization which is a public company, but that company can be started, a public company or a government enterprises can be started into different form also, as we are starting the private company or private sector into 5 forms: SP, HUF, cooperative society, partnership or joint stock company. Same manner, even the public enterprises can be started into different form. Now what are these different forms? These are departmental undertaking, statutory corporation and government companies. Now student, today we will cover the first form of public enterprises, that is departmental undertaking. When we talk about departmental undertaking, student, you have to be very clear that this is the oldest and most traditional form of organizing public enterprises. It means departmental undertaking is the oldest or traditional form of going through with public sector or public enterprises. Now what basically happened here is that these are set up or established as department of ministry and are financed, managed and controlled by either central government or state government. Example is given there: Indian Railways, Post and Telegram Department. Like if we talk about departmental undertaking form of organization, which is one category of public enterprises, are set up by Department of Ministry. Department of Ministry basically means either the central or the state government, and they are financed or managed or controlled, means funding has to be done, management has to be done, or complete control has to be done either by the central government or by the state government, whoever has started these type of organization. Like if we take the example of departmental undertaking, which is the oldest form of your public enterprises, we have the example of Indian Railways. Now you should be aware about it that Indian Railways is completely controlled, financed and managed by the central government. Right, that is one of the ministry, Department of Ministry of Railway Ministry Department, we can see it. Now next is Post and Telegram Department. Post and Telegram Department is again a completely government ministry, or it can be said that this is again the another department, that is Telegram Department, which control the postal areas. Right, so department undertaking, these enterprises are established as a department of ministry and are considered part of an extension of the ministry itself. Now students, when we talk about departmental undertaking, the government functions through these departments and the activities performed by them are an integral part of the functioning of the government. It means if we are talking about departmental undertaking, it is government who is going to function these departments. They are going to run it according to their own manner, and it is the government who is going to fund these departments, right? So they have not been constituted as an independent institution, as such are not independent legal entities. They act through the officer of government and its employee are government employee. It means these departmental undertakings are going to be run by the government people only, and the people those who are running that is called as a government employee. And one very important thing is that they don't have legal separate or independent legal entities. Independent legal entities basically means they don't have a separate legal entities. They are attached with the government. Now they act through the officials of government, and the employees are called government employee. It means the people those who work inside these departmental undertaking, the employee of these all are called as a government employee. These undertaking may be under the central or the state government, and the rules of central state government are applicable here. It means that when we talk about departmental undertaking, they are either started by a state government, or they are started by a central government, or both with central or state government. That is the reason we said that the employee those who work inside the departmental undertaking are called as a government employee. Now examples are there: Indian Railway run by a central government, and postal and telegraph department also. Now next we are going to go through with the features of departmental undertaking. Now student, the first feature of department undertaking is that no separate entity. It has no separate legal entity. It means when we call about separate legal entity, it's saying that the departmental undertaking does not have a separate legal entity. It means in the eye of law, the organization and the owner are same. They are not separate, right? So that is the reason they called as a no separate legal entity. Now next is financing. Now who's going to finance departmental undertaking? Now it is financed by annual budget allocation of the government, and all its earning government go to government treasury. It means who's going to finance these type of departmental undertaking? These type of departmental undertaking are basically going to be financed from the state or central government. And how they are going to finance or fund it? They are going to fund it from the their annual budget. Means whatever revenue either the state or the central government is going to get, in the annually budget of that they allocate these revenues or these funds for starting these organization or for funding these organization. And whatever earning came from these organization also go to the government treasury, which again they use for the welfare of public. Now next is accounting and audit. Now what are the rules for accounting and auditing of departmental undertaking is that the government rules related to audit and accounting are applicable to it. Means all those government rules which government has made for the accounting and auditing for the government or for the public enterprises, these all rules are going to be used or accountable over here also. Now next is staffing. Staffing basically means the people those who are going to work here, how they are going to appoint it. Now its employee are government employee and are recruited and appointed as per the government rules. It means departmental undertaking, the employee are appointed according to the rules and regulation of the government, and they are called as a government employee. They got all the facility which a government employee get. Now next is accountability. That is, these are accountable to the concerned ministry. It means whom these type of organization or departmental undertaking will be accountable. So these all departmental undertaking will be accountable to their concerned ministry. If they have been started from central government, they will be accountable for the central government for particular department of ministry. If they have been appointed or funded has been done, or the funding has been done from a central government or the state government, they will be accountable or answerable for that particular departmental of ministry only. Now next we are going to read about the different advantage which we got in departmental undertaking. Students, we very clear that what we are reading or what we are discussing here? We are discussing here the form of business organization in public enterprises. Earlier we have done about the form of business organization into private form. Now these all are the different form of business organization which are came into a public enterprises. Now what are the advantage we got if we are going through with the departmental undertaking in public enterprises? Now first is, it is more effective in achieving the objective laid down by government as it is under the direct control of government. Now this is the first advantage we are getting here, that because these type of organization or departmental undertaking, they are directly under the control of government, so the work has been checked or controlled by the government, the decision has been taken by the government, so we can be able to achieve our objective more effectively because the government is directly controlling and checking our work. Next is, it is a good source of income of government as its revenue goes to government treasury. Now the departmental undertaking is completely funded by government, right? Either the state or center or by both. Now once the profit came or whatever income has been generated from these organization, even these income also go to the revenue of government treasury. So this is basically what? This is basically a source of government income. Next is, it is accountable to Parliament for all its action where ensure proper utilization of funds. Now because we are from where the government fund departmental undertaking, again the government use the money of funds or finance of public only. That is the reason it is completely accountable to the Parliament for all the action, just to ensure that the public fund has been utilized in a proper way. Now next is, it is suitable for activity where secrecy and strict control is required, like defense production. Now because there is only one, that is either central government or the state government or central or state government, so this is basically departmental undertaking suitable for all those type of activity business where we require more secrecy. We don't need to take each and every decision or suggestion from the general public, right? So that is the reason, because the strict control is within the government. So like defense is there, for the defense there are lots of things which are required to be secret. In that case departmental undertaking is best suited for them. Now students, we are going to study about the demerits of departmental undertaking. Now the first demerit or disadvantage of departmental undertaking form of business public enterprise is that it suffers from interference from minister and top official in their working. Basically this is going to be funded from government. Now in the government there are lots of people, the lots of ministers or the top official who are sitting there. Sometimes it suffer, departmental undertaking has to suffer from the interference of these top official or top minister. Next is, it lacks flexibility which is essential for smooth operation of business. Now the rules, regulations, laws and everything has been made from the government. The people, those who are working inside it, has to follow it according to whatever instruction has been given from them or from the top side. So the flexibility is not there, which is basically needed each and every business so that the operation of the business can be smoothly run. Next is, it suffers from red tapeism in day-to-day work. Now children, this is very important, that there is red tapeism in day-to-day operation and no action can be taken unless it goes through the proper channel of authority. It means basically we don't know, sometime we are get cheated from some way where we are not knowing that who is going to do it. We don't know that what action has to be taken, or sometimes something wrong happened from the people, those who are sitting in the top, and we cannot able to take any action regarding that. So this is what sometimes the departmental undertaking has to be followed. Next is that these organizations are usually insensitive to consumer need and do not provide goods and educate services to them. Now this basically says that departmental undertaking is just a way of social welfare also, when we read about the profit of this or the merit of this. But these times in certain areas or in certain state, sometimes it depends on the mood of the government also, that how they utilize the fund of these organizations. There are certain government, sometimes they use it, take less sensitivity to consumer needs for providing goods or services in an accurate manner and try to increase their revenue. So this become a demerit. So this is completely dependent on the will of government. Next demerit said that such organizations are managed by civil servant and government official who may not have the necessary experts and experience in the management. Now this is again the drawback of staffing. It say that it might be possible that in the departmental undertaking, the people those who are working over there, they are civil or government employee, right? So it might be possible they are not expert or experience of managing the things, which can become a disadvantage or drawback for the departmental undertaking. Now children, next is suitability. Suitability say that where we can go through with departmental undertaking. It means in public enterprises where we can use departmental undertaking form of business organization. So basically where full government control is needed, means any business which is supposed to be completely controlled by government, we can go through with departmental undertaking, because everyone know departmental undertaking is completely controlled by government only. That government can be a central government, that government can be a state government, or it can be state or central government. Next is where secrecy is very important, such as defense, means in any organization of public sector where they feel or the owner feel that they required complete secrecy of the work or operation, in that time they can go through with departmental undertaking, because in departmental undertaking, because the government is running that business, so it's not necessary for the government to show up their each and every detail of the organization. So children, with this we have finished with this video. In this video we have only studied about the first form of business organization of public enterprise, that was departmental undertaking. And departmental undertaking, I have basically informed you that this is basically the oldest and traditional form of public enterprises. So in the next video we will go through with the next form, that will be statutory corporation.